In this emotional courtroom, the truth about fatherhood takes center stage. A man once believed to be a loving father discovers a secret that changes everything. As the judge listens, the air is thick with disbelief. The child he raised for years may not be his. The courtroom is quiet, but the tension is loud.
From what I was told, yes.
All right.
Because it wasn't like, I don't think it was a situation of she had a multitude of people it wasn't that. It was just not wanting to believe or come to the realization that the other person that you were with at the time is technically the father.
Right.
And so I think it took a while, and then once she found out, I think he's been in the picture, or he's been in and out of the picture, but he never did anything, to help with the situation that was at hand, that was brought about by court.
Okay. So let's talk about court a little bit. You were on child support at the time that you found out through DNA testing that this was not your child. And you petitioned the court. Like, what happened? Like, how did that actually come about?
So, again, as I stated earlier, I only wanted to be off of child support. I had no intentions of not being in his life or any of that. I just, like I said, and so that in itself creates hostility, right? So
hostility between you and mom.
Me and mom.
All
and
right.
so because I'm thinking we're on the same page as far as like, look, I just want to be off child support. We thought it was that simple. Like, she can just go take me off child support, whatever. No.
She was in agreement to take you out child support.
Initially.
Oh, okay. So it changed at some point.
Because the courts let us know that it don't work like that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
She's in agreement to take you off of child support. Do you all fill out any papers to agree?
Well, her part was kind of ended fast because
He explains how for years he supported the boy, emotionally, financially, wholeheartedly, until a DNA test shattered his reality. He only wanted one thing from the court: to be freed from child support. But what should have been a simple legal correction became a storm of confusion, emotion, and heartbreak.
State let her know I had signed the announcement of paternity.
Right.
So the state of Texas, child support, we don't care if he ain't. That's really what it boils down to, right? We don't care. So before the child support step happened, I had to challenge the announcement of paternity.
Okay, so let's put a pin drop about court. Let's focus on the acknowledgement of paternity for a minute. So you were told you had to challenge it. What did that process look like?
So the process is you basically, you have to have some type of proof, which was the DNA test. However, I hadn't taken the DNA test at that time through the courts. And so my DNA test, or our DNA test that we pay for on our own, technically wasn't admissible in court.
Because it wasn't court ordered.
Because it wasn't court ordered. And so in the mix of challenging the announcement of paternity,
The man recalls that at first, the child's mother agreed to remove him from child support. But the state of Texas had other plans. It don't work like that, he was told. Even when both parents agreed, the law refused to let go. The court demanded proof, official DNA proof, and the journey to challenge the acknowledgement of paternity had begun.
At the time, I don't know the law exactly, but at that time you had 5 years. And so the state thought that my 5 years were up because by this time, Lil Myron is 5. However, I didn't sign the acknowledgement of paternity until he was 1. So that means I still would have had another year, an additional year left. And so they realized that, so they made me take a court-ordered DNA test. So that way it could be on record that so the results didn't change.
All right, so you challenged the acknowledgement, realized you still had time within the legal realm. You did what you were supposed to do with the court-ordered DNA test. Everything is good, right? You're out child support.
Nope.
That's not what happened?
That's not what happened.
What happened?
So the judge at the time, and I don't remember her name, it's been so long, but she made what she considered a moral decision.
She actually told you that?
Yes.
His private DNA test wasn't enough. The court required a state-ordered test. Time was running out. The law allowed only 5 years to dispute paternity. But he caught a break. He'd signed the acknowledgement when the child was 1, not at birth, giving him 1 final year to fight back. The new DNA results confirmed it. He was not the father.
She said it. Like, her decision was that because I had been in his life and no one else was coming in the courtroom basically saying that they was the father, that she felt like that I was morally responsible, pretty much. I don't know her exact words verbatim, but it was around the realms of until she had somebody come in the courtroom to say that they was the father, that I was legally still gonna be responsible. Although legally I had did everything, my attorney had proven my case.
Wow.
And so he was about, I wanna say this was around 2000, this was at the end of 2009. And so what she did was I think it's the word that's used, abate. She abated my child support. So people have to understand, you have child support and you have medical support.
Right.
And so they the same thing, but they totally different. Like, you owe this in child support, medical support.
But even with proof, the court refused to release him. The judge called it a moral decision. Her reasoning? He'd been the only father figure in the child's life, and no one else had stepped forward. In her eyes, that made him morally responsible. The ruling stunned the courtroom, a decision based not on law but on conscience.
Has his own interest,
Right,
whatever,
right. It just, when it lump sums, it comes out in one.
It comes out in one.
Got you.
Right.
Got
So she abated my child support, and at that time, I don't know, let's say I was paying $250 a month. I don't know. It wasn't an extreme amount. But she left me to pay medical support up until just last month.
To your knowledge, in speaking with your attorney, is that even legal?
I don't know. I don't know. It has to be because they made me do it.
Wow.
And so, you know, the funny thing about it is that, you know, some people would say, well, how much is it? It's like, it don't matter. Like, because, you know, the way I look
How
at
much
it
is what, the health
like, how
insurance?
much did you, yeah. It's like, I think it's $25, $30 a month, you know. But imagine having to give somebody that you don't know, you know, $30.
The judge halted his child support payments but kept one piece in place: medical support. Month after month, year after year, he paid $25 to $30 for a child the law admitted wasn't his. 14 years later, that small monthly amount had become a symbol of injustice. Money, he says, could have gone to his real children or simply to survive.
Out your money every month for 14 years. It might not add up to nothing but $300-400 a year. But when you times that over 10, 11, 12 years, you know, that could have been money anybody could have used. My biological kids could have needed it. I mean, I could have needed it. And so I'm not upset necessarily about the financial part of it because I had to adapt. But it's just people don't know that the ideal of the acknowledgement of paternity can be a very confusing thing. So
And powerful, sounds like. Yeah.
So I would suggest to men to first off, don't sign one unless you have a DNA test.
Okay.
First.
All right.
That's what I would say.
That's some good advice.
You know, that's probably the biggest thing. And you know, be careful, be mindful of, you know, who you sleep with, you know, protect yourself, all of that good stuff. You know, but a kid is a beautiful thing. And, you know, and so to be a man and be in a situation where you take care of one for almost 5 years and find out that it's not yours, to just do something to you. That's one emotion in itself. Like, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But then to have to still be financially responsible for that child for the amount of time that I was.
And how much time are we talking about exactly?
I know he was, let's say 5 when we started going to court. He just turned 18. So at least about 13 years. And that's not including the child support that I was paying, you know, when I thought he was mine.
Right.
You know, and so those numbers add up, you know. And I'm on child support for my other kids too. I don't complain about it. It's not the child support, it's just the idea those are my kids.
Right.
And so I'm responsible.
With calm frustration, he explains what the experience taught him. Don't sign anything, he warns other men, until you get a DNA test. His voice carries years of hurt and hard lessons. He says it's not about the money. It's about the principle, the emotional toll of loving a child who isn't yours and still being forced to pay the price long after the truth comes out.
For them. And so to be in a situation to where you could literally, legally be locked up or jailed because of child support or lack of, what if I fell off and not been able to work? They could really still come after me. I doubt they probably would have, but I don't know, and so, yeah, that's.
So about you say he turned 18. Has he graduated high school?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, all right. So you all don't have any type of communication or anything, you and the child?
Me and the child, no. I talked to his mom maybe about 6 months ago. But my middle son and little Myra ended up running in the same track meet, but they don't unaware of it.
Right.
And I ran into her like at a red light or something, and she, there's no hostility between me and her now.
Time has passed.
Time has
yeah.
passed, and I don't have any the animosity I may have had years ago against, like I have none at all. I just feel like my story is something people should hear because it changed my life financially for sure.
How so? I know you mentioned you could have used that money for yourself, and then you had other kids. How many kids do you have now?
3.
All right. And how many were in existence at that time?
2.
2, okay. And 2 in addition to Little Myron, right?
So that would have been 3.
3, okay.
Right.
I follow you.
Right.
Yeah. So you said that it changed your life financially.
Well,
He reflects on the years lost, 13 years of payments, court hearings, and stress. 2 years spent in and out of court every 3 months. He describes how it broke him financially, mentally, emotionally. Yet through it all, he never turned bitter. He still respects the system, but believes it needs to change. His story is a cautionary tale about blind trust and misplaced responsibility.
and I'm not saying financial because of the child support per se. I'm saying like the court fees, the attorneys, the missing work. I went to court for 2 years straight every 3 months. Literally, I was going to court every 3 months, and that's not including my other kids were small at the time too, so I have to deal with their mothers too. So it's nothing against the moms, right? I'm dealing with this child support system, and like I say, for 2 of them, I show up in court like it's nothing.
Because they were your
because they
children.
mine.
Yeah.
So whether or not I'm right or wrong, I have to deal with those consequences. But in the case with the one that's not mine, mentally they just play with you. I didn't really realize until I got that withholding order, the termination. That's when it clicked. It was like, you did this for 18 years.
What is the withholding order of termination that you're referring to?
So the same way they send, it's called an IWO, an income withholding order.
Okay.
The same way they send it to your job to tell them to take $500 a month from you, $250 every 2 weeks or whatever. Well, this time my box had termination.
Okay.
So it was them terminating my child support order for them to keep taking money from me for him.
For the health insurance?
For the health insurance.
Okay.
Right.
Wow.
So,
after 13 years.
Yeah. So that's what kind of like hit home for me. That's when the light bulb went out. Like you really went through this, and
right.
So that's what we had.
So you gave people some great advice in terms of not signing the acknowledgement of paternity, using protection, all those type of things. In hindsight, now that you're sitting here discussing it, what are some things that you take accountability for and say you would have done different?
When asked what he would do differently, he's honest. Be responsible, he says quietly. I should have never been in that situation. He admits his mistakes, acknowledges his choices, and accepts accountability. But his message is clear. No one should suffer 18 years of consequences for a child proven not to be theirs.
First, I was just being responsible to start off, you know.
What do you mean by being responsible?
I should have never been in a position to where, you know, a woman that I was sleeping with, child is not mine. You know, whether you look at that as being married or you look at that as being in a committed relationship, whatever, however, whichever they fit, that's probably the first thing. And then I'm accountable for not doing some of the smart things that I would tell any man to do right now.
Which is what?
Which is
listen to the grandmother when she say go get a DNA test.
You know, listen and you know, going. We humans, right? So we emotional. So sometimes you can get attached to a kid real fast, and you're like, I don't want to do this, because it might be a week or 2 weeks, but then you end up hurting yourself and that child, you know, in the long run. I don't think Lil Myron suffered per se, like, because like I said, he was unaware of it for years. But in the long run, he probably has at some point, like, where is he at? Or why he's not around? And, you know, even for his mom to have to tell him or me to have to tell him or whatever. So just being accountable and responsible and you know, safe. Like I say, that's the biggest thing, because when you're not responsible, you do stuff like have unprotected sex, or you have many women, different, you know, many different partners, and you're not, you know, protecting yourself, and so you end up with the possibility of a child not being yours because you don't know what this other woman is doing, but you're doing it too. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I don't bash women at all for those kind of situations. You know, because I don't think in my situation that it was like that. Like she was trying to set me up for it. I don't think it was that. Even though some cases they'll do it. I don't care. I think it's yours. I think it's yours. I think it's yours. But my case wasn't like that.
Right.
You know, so.
So let me ask you, I have to ask because it is playing in the back of my head. Did you go back to your grandmother and family members and apologize to them or to tell them you were right or anything like that?
I have. I didn't really, I have, because, you know, it's really funny because, you know, I got a lot of I told you so's. You know, and not like you know, demeaning way. You know, it's just like I knew it, but they ahead of yours. You know, whatever it is. You know, so you know, I have. So it turned out to be better than what it started off. I should say that.
That's good. Yeah. Emotionally today, how are you?
I'm good. So, yeah, I'm good.
Do you think at some
time has softened old wounds? He no longer holds anger toward the child's mother. He's even run into her since their brief exchange at a red light ended with a simple hello. He admits to checking the boy's social media just to see how he's grown. The boy he once raised is now 18, strong, healthy, and thriving. And that, he says, brings peace.
Point, if Lil Myron were open to having a dialogue with you, do you think you would be open to do that? Mm-hmm. Mm. Would you like to do that?
You know, I leave that up to God. You know, if they cross, I will. You know, I used to tell her that though. I used to be like, if he ever get of age and he want to talk to me, I'm gonna be honest with him, and not to
bash her.
Not to bash her at all.
Right.
Just to give some clarity as to why I wasn't around no more, or you know, so yeah, if that happens, hey, I'm all for it. I'm not necessarily looking for it, but you know, because it could be uncomfortable, you know.
And I didn't ask you when you mentioned it. You said you saw her at a red light. Did you, the two of you exchange words, or did you just look at each other?
No, we did. Actually, she was kind of like behind me, and I had my windows down, and she said, "Big Myron." She the only person that called me that. Mm-hmm. And so when I turned around, I was like, hey, you know. Then I asked about him, of course, you know, because he was 17 at the time. I actually went on his his Instagram, and you know, looked at some pictures of him and his TikTok page, and so I scrolled through and looked at him. He's a handsome little dude, you know. So
he turned out all right.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Well, in the end, that's the good thing, right?
Yeah. It is.
That is the good thing. Well, Mr. Johnson, I appreciate you sharing your story, not only with myself, but with the viewers. I'm pretty sure something that you said has not only encouraged someone to listen
Right.
and to maybe make different decisions, but it has also helped someone in terms of if they're in that situation and going through challenging an acknowledgement of paternity, knowing the legal ramifications of an acknowledgement of paternity. I definitely think you answered those questions here today, and that is commendable. So thank you for joining our show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, you share this video, also subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to having many more stories similar to Mr. Johnson's in the
As the hearing closes, the man thanks the court for allowing him to share his story. The judge acknowledges his courage, reminding viewers that understanding the legal power of an acknowledgement of paternity is vital. His testimony may change lives, a painful truth turned into a powerful warning.